Number 5.
Wow.
Okay. The myth that all small traditional towns are racist and should be avoided at
Yo,
all
yo,
costs.
yo, yo. My son live in a small rural town in Virginia, you know what I'm saying? And they still got the Confederate flag in some stores, you know? So I don't know. You got to prove this one to me. You got to talk to me.
Okay. Now, let me put in my disclaimer. Okay. I only know about certain towns. That doesn't mean that if you listen to me talk, you go wandering anywhere in the US and say, Portia said that not all small towns aren't racist. So I'm just going to skip on through. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Might run into Proud Boys.
oh God, no.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that. Don't do that. I'm saying not all
So,
towns are explicitly racist.
right.
Okay. So let's take, for example, like, okay, I don't want to be too specific because I have family in certain areas and I don't want to put them on blast or nothing. But okay, so
Well,
we all know that Indiana is a red state. Like they called, they were the first state to call Trump as the winner for that state in the 2020 election. Like they wasted no time. Everybody else took days. They were like polls closed at 6. By 8 o'clock they were done. Like they said, it's a red state. However, there are many small towns in Indiana that a lot of people
right,
would think are inherently racist, and they actually
right,
aren't. They aren't.
right.
So I feel like
So,
you
hold on, real quick. So you're saying that they are predominantly white, but these people are not racist.
right. Just because a town is maybe older, like because we always get scared if you see like traditional towns talking about tradition. Like we get that's
Right,
real sketchy. It's like, what are you talking about? Traditional. Like you're an old town,
right,
you're clearly stuck in the past. How far back
right,
are you stuck?
right,
Like we have no business being there. But I feel like as Black people, we shouldn't immediately feel like every small town is racist because it's not.
right,
Just because it's predominantly white or it has a small population,
right,
or maybe people in that town may have not seen a Black person, or they only saw like 1 or 2 Black people in their lives, that does not necessarily mean they are racist. Okay. So
right.
like I came to a small town in Indiana, and stepping into that town, I immediately was like, nope, I am
Right.
not
The
feeling this
Klan,
at all.
Klan, the Klan.
Yes, straight up. And it's like, no, I haven't seen any Confederate flags, but there were a lot of, Trump, Pence 2020, in which there's nothing wrong with that. Not all Trump supporters are racist. There are plenty of Trump supporters that like him for him and not, the racist propaganda behind it, whatever. But I was
Right,
definitely feeling some kind of way, like, ugh, man, I haven't seen a Black person since I've been here. Like, I'm feeling
right,
some type of way.
right,
But, after, seeing a few of them, or maybe talking to a few of them, or just seeing how they move, it's like, okay, I'm definitely still skeptical, but I'm the type of person that never lets her guard down regardless of what I see or what I'm told. But I did have to check myself and be like, okay, now I'm the one stereotyping.
Okay.
I'm the one
Okay.
bringing in the discrimination. I'm the
Okay.
one being prejudiced.
And no,
So,
and I can't blame you on that. I cannot blame you for doing that. I
yeah,
can't.
yes, but
I
I feel
can't
like,
doing that. I can't blame you, but you know what? But you checked yourself and you were
right,
mindful of, hey, now I'm the person that feels like they have to be on guard. Basically, you were the white woman that holds her purse like this, right? For no
exactly,
reason,
exactly. And
right?
like
And
you
nothing
said,
happened.
like you
Okay,
can't
right,
blame me for feeling that way because,
right. Can't blame.
it's
I can't
justified.
blame you. Come
But
on, it's justified.
yes, but you can't let it, like if you come across a white woman who's like, she's like real friendly, like they are so friendly in these small towns in Indiana, like so friendly that it scares me. It's like, yo, why are you being so friendly? Like, what are you after? I don't trust this friendliness.
They're
Like,
so intrigued by melanin skin complexion. That's what they are, you know.
I know,
But
it's like, you know, I start treating them shady because they're being friendly, and I'm the one with the trust issues for good reason.
Okay, right.
For good reason, but
good reason.
still, it can destroy a friendship or a relationship because I was the one being prejudiced.
Totally agree. There are some to tell you. There are some good white people out here. I live in a neighborhood that's predominantly white. You know, I have a neighbor on my left side, a white guy, and I have a neighbor on my right side, a white guy. They are night and day. You know what I mean? My guy on the left side, don't want to have anything to do with him because I feel like he's a racist. My guy on my right side, he's a down brother. He's actually, you know, he's a real good dude. His son actually has a black girlfriend. Kudos to him and his pops. You know what I mean? They real good people. So that basically tells you all white people aren't bad. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, it basically who listened to the habits of their predecessors.
Right.
You know, and who, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because racism is passed on.
Yeah.
It is generated. Babies aren't born being racist. You know what I mean? They are taught it, and it is passed on. And it's you know they have to take it upon themselves and say, hey, dad is full of shit. Black people are cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or they say, hey, you know what, dad? That's right. I do have to stay in your basement, so you're right. Fuck them niggers. Okay. So you know, racism is in the eye of the racist. Let's say that.
There you go. Quote that. Somebody put that on a shirt. Sell it to me. There you go.
Racism is out of racist.
It
right?
is. It is. And so, like, it was just crazy. I felt like that should be a myth that we talk about because, like, I definitely had that idea that all small towns that are predominantly white are bound to be racist.
Absolutely.
And it's
absolutely. We just think that we think when we on the low highway, the Klan gonna come out with the burning cross and all that.
But I do, even though that is a myth, I still have that fear. Like I can't shake it. But
no. That's why we need to build our own black communities where that myth wouldn't even exist to us because we're not going into those neighborhoods and communities anyway. We need to stay in our black communities and spend our money with our black people. You know what I mean?
Called segregation.
Absolutely. But you know what? But we got to circulate our money like they do.
Well,
they circulate their money. That's why they have more money of us as a people because their money circulates within their neighborhood and they get money from the other cultures. We don't do that at all. We give our money to all the cultures. We need to start circulating.
Yes. Okay. That's fine. Like, yes, Black Wall Street needs to come back. That needs to be reimagined. Absolutely. It really does. But I'm not saying we should be segregated. I don't think that, you know, we have to.
I'm not segregated, but we need to know who we are and build black and buy black. You know what I mean? we're not being segregated because they can come into our neighborhoods and buy our resources like we do them. We go into their neighborhood and buy resources, but they don't come to ours and buy our resources. Right. That's kind of funny. It's like, you know,
right, that's true.
The economic level. Crazy. Right?
Okay.
You know what? How we doing on time though? You know, I'm gonna edit this part. How we doing?
I don't know. It won't tell me until the 10-minute thing pops up.
Got you. Okay.
Myth
number 3. We're going to talk about something called... No, you did 4. Oh, you did 5? Oh, I'm sorry. Damn, I'm jumping the gun. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm drinking. I stopped drinking 9 months ago. I'm not drinking. All right. Myth number 4. We got affirmative action. All right. And some young might not know what affirmative action is, and we're going to break it down. And the myth is that affirmative action benefited black people. You wrong. It has not benefited black people at all. You know what I mean? This much. Affirmative action is the act of dethroning the ability for colleges, okay, or people that run businesses to discriminate against people of color. That's what the term was. They were talking about us, though, black people. So therefore, it was for black people. Okay, affirmative action was created during the civil rights movement. Okay, so and who was involved in the civil rights movement? Black people, right? That was for us, but it didn't work out that way. I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. Okay, so in the beginning of the 1970s. Now, I know this firsthand from my father and my aunts, and I know this from my research. In high school, you didn't need college in the 70s, okay? Not necessarily. In the 70s, 71, 72, 73, you can become a carpenter because you got all your training in high school. You can become a plumber because you got all your training in high school. Or you could become, let's say you want to become administrative assistant. You got all your training in high school and you were good. And you could leave high school with your diploma on the wall. You could walk across the stage and you could become that plumber, licensed, because you had the skills. So in the early 70s, what they did was, I'm not going to say they did it because of affirmative action, but they had a little plan what they did. They took all the vocational opportunities and education out of all of the high schools. They cut the funding for all the vocational education in all of the high schools. So now, if you're a high school kid that graduates from high school, what do you have to do? Go to college to get a job, okay? All right? And what does college do? Costs money, doesn't it? And if I don't have the money, what do? I take out a loan. And what happens there? That loan is about 70, 80, 90, $100,000. How long does that take me to pay back? Never. Okay? So basically, they're paving the way for poverty, even though I went to college. So they took out the vocational opportunity. They took out the vocational education out of the high schools. So we had to go to college, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So they introduced something called affirmative action. They say, okay, we're going to make it where at least we have to admit at least X amount of Black people in this institution. Okay. Just based on the fact that they're Black, nothing else. And they did it in the beginning. And that's called, they treated them like they were a minority, right? This isn't that word. Minority means that's a small number, right? Doesn't that mean that? A small number. Mm-hmm. But you know how many other people fall in a minority group? White women, disabled people, nowadays, the LGBT people, any other nationality that comes to America falls in the minority group. So now Black people, what we have become accustomed to doing, now let's say they have 16 spots out of 100, okay? And I'll tell you why that number is so prevalent and pervasive. Now, not us Black people, those aren't our 16 spots now. Now it belongs to me. It belongs to a disabled guy who's white. It belongs to a white woman, and it belongs to an Asian. It belongs to a Spanish guy. So how is a Black person actually affected by affirmative action if he, as a minority, has to still fight now to get into those 16 spots with other minority groups? That's why I tell you, you are not a minority. You are Black. We don't want to be minorities, because once you bubble yourself as a minority, now you're scraping for pieces of the pie. Let's say let's say they're giving out scholarships for minorities. You think that's for Black people? No, it's for Black people, it's for disabled people, it's for Puerto Rican people, it's for women. Okay? So you are not a minority, Black people. So affirmative action, it did not benefit us at all. It benefited everyone that is a minority group. So basically, it started with them saying, hey, you know what? Let's take out all the vocational education out of the schools. Now they have to go to college. Now that they have to go to college, now they have to take out these enormous loans that they're probably never going to pay back, right? Now these HBCUs, they aren't historically Black colleges anymore. You know why? Because of affirmative action, they're letting the minorities in. The white people are the minority, right? Now they have leeway to come to our schools. They're actually becoming more of the majority in the HBCUs. How does that sound? And I'm gonna tell you why that happens. If you're not one of the top 5 historical Black colleges, like the Morehouses, like the Spelmans, and you're the lower level historical Black colleges, you have to let the white people in. You want to know why? So you can get funding. If you don't get the funding, your school's going to close down. Okay? So you see how they cover both areas with affirmative action? Doesn't benefit Black people at all. So that's a myth that affirmative action benefits you, Black people. You want to know why? Because they want you to see yourself as a minority. You are not a minority. You are Black. Okay?
Number 3.
Number 3, that's right.
Okay. The myth. Now there's a lot of aspects to this, but let's just start with the main myth, is that a lot of people believe that the Tuskegee syphilis studies involved Black men from Tuskegee, Alabama being injected with syphilis. That is a myth. That ain't how it happened. That's not how it went down.
Really? Hold on. Say that one more time.
The myth is that during the Tuskegee syphilis study, that Black men from Tuskegee, Alabama, were actually being injected with syphilis. Okay, so that is a myth. That's not how it went down. A lot of people know about the Tuskegee study, right?
I believe that myth. I believe that myth too.
Wait, now before you get ahead of yourself, it is far worse.
What happened?
The truth is the worst. Okay, so starting in what was that? 1932. Starting in 1932, the Public Health Department, the freaking federal health department. Okay, this is not local. Okay, this was a federal program. Federal program went to Tuskegee, Alabama, and got 600 Black men. And out of those 600 Black men, 399 of them had syphilis.
Okay, 399.
They weren't injected with it. They weren't injected with syphilis by the health department or whatever. They weren't injected with it. They already had it. They contracted it.
Right.
They were told that they were going to get free treatment as being a part of this program, and this treatment would help them get over syphilis or whatever. But it was a study to see how the treatment works and all that stuff. Right? Now, let me just make it clear. The program ran for 40 years, from 1932 to 1972. Okay. And in this program, 600 men, 399 of them had syphilis, were supposedly treated for their bad blood, is what they called it. Because if they had syphilis, it was
of them bad blood.
Bad blood, man, they called it. Messed up, right?
That is we probably got it from their people. Go ahead.
I don't know. So yeah, I had to think about that one. Maybe. Yeah. Anyways,
I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself. Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Yes, so these men had syphilis, right? So the health department was like, listen, come in. We will give you free medical services, free treatment. We will treat you, blah, 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 blah. We just need you to take, we just need you so we can compile research, so we can find out information. Turns out this study was not about treating syphilis. They were giving these men placebos. They were not giving them actual treatment. The study was to see what syphilis would do to Black men if it was left untreated. That's what the experiment was. So 399 men were given placebos. They were never treated for syphilis.
So all of them, they didn't treat like 5 of them at least?
No, they didn't. No. They didn't get treated. They were all given placebos. Okay. Now, let me remember I said the program ran from 1932 to 1972. In 1947 was when they found out that penicillin was how to treat syphilis.
15 years later.
Yes, 10
so
years
they
later.
Didn't have a treatment.
They didn't have a treatment when it first began.
They didn't have a treatment.
They didn't even have a treatment. But after there was a treatment for syphilis, after they found out that penicillin was the way, the program didn't end. They kept on pushing it until 1972. They still kept with these men, not treating them, even though they had the treatment.
I don't know how many 99 died, man.
So I didn't see an exact number of how many, but many of them died. But of those people, 40 wives of these men ended up with syphilis. Because they were untreated. Yes, these men had syphilis, right? So if that man found out that he had a sexually transmitted disease, maybe from somebody else, he wasn't going to bring it home to his wife. So the wife didn't have it. Or the men had it, the wife didn't get it. So the men joined the program thinking that they would be treated for it. And then they would go home, have sex with their wives, and their wives would get it. So during this program, 40 wives ended up with syphilis, and 19 unborn children ended up with congenital syphilis, meaning they ended up contracting the disease while in utero, like in the womb, while the women were pregnant. And then a lot of the men end up with mental health issues.
Of course,
had deformities. You know, a lot of stuff, like a lot of issues came from that. There were a few deaths, but not too many because untreated syphilis doesn't really kill. But there's
Right.
still a lot of health issues that came from it.
Right.
Many health issues that came from it being untreated. And so it was like the only reason the program stopped was because somebody leaked it to the press. The press got a hold of the story about what was happening and they published it. They published it and was like, look at what the federal government has been doing. And so the program ended. And it wasn't until 1992, the program ended in 1972. It was in 1992 when Bill Clinton, who was president, did a press release and publicly apologized for the program. That was government. It was the government program. It was a federal program. So Bill Clinton apologized on behalf of the government.
Reparations to them families. That's what they need to do. That apology not enough.
I think they did. I think the families, those who were still alive,
right,
that a lot of them had health issues afterwards and died from those health issues, not necessarily syphilis, but from health issues that came afterwards. I think they did get they did end up with money.
Man.
So, I mean, like the myth, a lot of people thought that, oh man, the government was injecting these men with syphilis. No, they weren't doing that, but they were not treating them and making them believe that they were being treated. They were lying to these men. Yep.
Crazy. Man, yeah, that just, whoo. Man, but you know what, fellas, wrap up. Use condoms, okay? the end result of that situation, if you gonna sleep around, use condoms. I don't condone you sleep around because I'm trying to tell you, these chicks out here, they out here doing their thing as much as you doing your thing. I'm trying to tell you.
But like that goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about when we did the podcast with MM. Like, why don't Black people trust the health system? There you go.
Right. Number two. We got one of the oldest myths since I've been in existence, you know what I mean, is that there are more Black men in jail as opposed to college. Right?
Yeah.
Think about that. I know, I mean, because we know the prevalence of mass incarceration, and they really got us thinking from TV that
more
most of the black men are in prison. And if I think most of the Black men are in prison, that means I'm going to say, wow, most of them aren't being educated. And if I say most of them aren't being educated, I'm going to be afraid of them. Okay, which is going to give me a reason to want to get them locked up. Okay,
right. Wait, so you tell me that's not true?
That's not true at all, man. But they say we got receipts out here, man. We got receipts for real. We not saying that a lot of them aren't incarcerated, but we got numbers. In the year 2002, they did a study and compared the number of Black men in jail as opposed to the number of Black men in college, and the number was 1.4 million in jail and 840,000 in college. We like, oh, okay, all right, that's what we thought. But a guy by the name of Dr. Toddleson from Harvard, a brother, of course, he about in the year 2013, let's say about 10 years later, he said, you know what? I need to look into this. And he did. And he looked at the data. And what he found was profound. He found that after the numbers came back, he found that 1,000 colleges in America did not report their data. Okay? 100 plus of which were HBCUs.
The HBCUs weren't reporting their numbers?
Right, but like we said, if you think about it, if I don't let these white people into my college, I close down. So therefore, I have to kind of, do what they say to keep my funding. So that number was really skewed. But in 2015, we got to an exact number. As of 2015, which was only 5 years ago, actually from 2006 to now, black male incarceration has started to dip. Okay, it started to dip. Right? Started to dip. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of black brothers that's in jail for crazy, stupid crimes like selling weed and things like that, and need to let them out. For real. All right. So in 2015, the number of black men in college, that was 1.4 million. Okay. And the number of black men in jail in federal or state penitentiaries was 500,000, and in local jails 200,000. It came up to about 730,000, which dethrones that black men. More of us are in prison than in college. 5 years ago, 1.4 million in college, 730,000 in jail. This is documented truth and facts. Okay, and I got a 2B because I forgot to speak about it. Now the Supreme Court. Now remember we talked about the situation with the affirmative action, right? In 1978, this guy by the name of Becca or Becky, something like that. His name is, we gonna call him Becky, okay? Mr. Becky. Okay. Mr. Becky, he was trying to get into a medical school in California, and he couldn't get in. He was denied 2 times, and they the most talented people in the world. He goes to the Supreme Court and sues the school. And he sued the school on the grounds of that he should be let into the program because he has better grades. He has no proof of having better grades of the 16 minorities that they are allowing into the medical school over him. He actually won. Okay. What? And I just want you guys, he actually won. And he was allowed into the medical school, and now he's somebody's doctor. Look how he got into medical. Now, he didn't get into medical school on his merit. He got into medical school on that.
No, okay? Man, he definitely carried the whole situation. He didn't get what he wanted, so he went to the main supervisor and complained and got what he wanted.
The whole situation. Now check it out. I want you guys to know the Supreme Court, because I actually said an error in one of the previous podcasts. The Supreme Court, the first 57 people appointed to the Supreme Court were slave owners, bona fide. Okay. And in 1970, I'm going to tell you, 1970, there were 1,500 white people appointed to the Supreme Court. You want to know how many were black? How many other? One. We had one Supreme Court justice that were black. So Dr. Claude Anderson, he actually strong-armed and made them appoint 3 more. So this one black man, because of his love for black people, you know what I mean, and his diligence, made them appoint 3 black people, because he gave a senator something, and he believes in quid pro quo, and the senator actually appointed 3 black people because he practiced quid pro quo with Dr. Claude Anderson. Basically, my point to say that is protesting and sometimes even voting, it doesn't do the job. You know what I'm saying? You got to practice quid pro quo. If your politician doesn't hold up to what he said he's going to do, don't mess with him. Okay? We kept, and I know I'm kind of sidetracking, but we can't keep on voting for these guys, you know what I mean, and not get nothing back. Because Claude Anderson, he said to this guy, his name is Strong Thurman, he's actually a bona fide racist too. You know what I mean? But when it comes to business, it don't matter if you're racist. I give you, you give me. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you call me a nigga, as long as I get something out of it. You know what I mean? He gave Strong Thurman some, and he told him, you must appoint 3 people. So this one man got 3 appointed in a heartbeat. And we had 1 before that. 1. So my point to say that is the Supreme Court. Once that guy, Mr. Becky, walked in the door, he was gonna win anyway. If I walk in the door, I'm gonna lose. Period. I'm gonna lose. They're the most racist aspect and facet of the American government. If you go to the Supreme Court as a black man, you're going to lose. Just know that. Okay? So Portia, that's all I got. What you got? Come on. Finish us off strong.
Number 1.
What we got?
All right. So y'all hold on to your butt. Because this one, this is a
what we got
that has been
drum roll. What we got?
Okay, this myth has been believed by the Black community
All right.
for how many years we talking? Like what? I don't know. We're probably looking at like 40, almost 50 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Every Black person believed this, and do not cuss me out when you hear what I'm about to tell you.
Yes, I definitely believe it. Well, I got it. All Black women are the best. That's right. Cool. I already know it. Right? That's it, right?
A myth, my guy. That is not a myth.
You know, a lot of people don't believe that. I'm just letting you know. You know what I mean? Our Black women are the bomb. That's it. That's the myth.
That's not the myth, but you're right.
All right. All right.
No, the myth is Elvis Presley was racist. Let me tell you right here, right now. He
King
was
of rock.
Not. The king of rock.
Blue suede shoes.
Blue suede shoes. The king of rock, Elvis Presley. The myth is that he was racist. I'm here to tell you he was not. Let the viewers process that for a minute. So many people are like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, his daughter did marry Michael Jackson. Come on. All right. So, you know, you might
that don't help the cause at all. Did you see what Michael did?
It was in her bloodline to, you know, relate to Black people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, let me tell y'all. Okay, let's go back. Okay.
Right.
Elvis Presley. Most people think, know that he's racist. We know him to be the white musician that stole music from us and used our culture and our music to make money and become who he became. Okay. Elvis Presley was born in Toledo. I think it's Toledo, Tennessee. Okay. He spent most of his days up and down Beale Street. We all know what Beale Street is. Okay.
What's Beale Street?
Beale Street is a famous street in Tennessee. You know the book If Beale Street Could Talk. It's known for music. It's known for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So he grew up in a predominantly Black neighborhood. So a lot of his influences came from. Yes.
He got a soul from.
A lot of his influences came from Black music. The school he went to, he was always an outcast around his white friends because he was always different. He would always go to the colored clubs. He would always listen to colored music growing up, all that stuff, right? So when he really started getting into music, he was really connecting with Black musicians. James Brown, Sammy Davis Jr., B.B. King. Yes, like he was rocking with them. He was.
Right.
And we always see this picture though with him in the army. That's like one of the famous pictures of Elvis Presley when he was younger and he's in the army. You
remember that
line
I remember that
Black people there, and people would make memes about it, talking about, why is this racist dude standing around all these Black people? Because Elvis Presley wasn't racist. So
those was his homies.
Those was his homies. They were his homies.
Okay.
So he ended up, before he really got big and he was just kind of doing things locally, he would find himself on a lot of Black radio shows, performing on those radio shows, but they were for Black people because he had that sound. That's what he grew up loving, So he would be on those radio shows performing and stuff with that swing, with the blues, the rock, all that stuff that was ours. And what happened was, that was, what year was that? I think it was 1952. 1952, a white-owned magazine called Sepia published an article saying that Elvis does not like Negroes. Or I'm sorry, the other way, Negroes do not like Elvis. That's what the article is about. Okay. And so this article talked about how Elvis was quoted being in Boston saying that the only thing Negroes can do for me is shine my shoes. So that was a quote, a famous quote of Elvis Presley, said to have been recorded in Boston.
And
then
was it a lie?
Well, I'll get there.
Okay,
And then
sorry.
there was another incident where he was supposedly on a CBS talk show. And on this talk show, he told the host about how he does not like Black people and he does not want Black people consuming his music. Okay.
Mm.
This whole Boston thing is a lie. Because around that time, Elvis Presley had never been to Boston. He had never made his way to Boston, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Then this radio show.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, not radio show, talk show, the CBS talk show. He was supposed to be on that talk show, but his manager demanded an appearance fee. So CBS was supposed to pay for Elvis to be on the show. They didn't want to pay, so Elvis's manager said, "We're not doing it.
Not coming.
We're not coming." So Elvis was never on that show. So the CBS news station was like, "All right, fine. Let's push this out. Tell them some
character.
Yep. Destroy his character." So there's been a lot of research on it and a lot of talk. And they were like, well, why would this magazine publish it? Because the magazine was afraid that Elvis would single-handedly bring together, integrate music. He was performing our culture, like everything from his moves, his dances, his voice, his sound. It was us, right? So this white-owned magazine was like, this guy is he's integrating us. He's not keeping us segregated like we want to. Let the Blacks have what they have. We need to keep our own thing. Right. We don't like this white guy going over there trying to mix it up. So they published this magazine. Man. So about 10 years later, the CEO of Jet, now Jet magazine is a Black-owned publication. He was like, I'm sorry, it might not have been 10 years later. I don't know how long it was, but he was like, let me see if this is real. So he went and interviewed Elvis himself to confront him.
A Black man.
A Black man. Yes, the man who owned Jet, a Black man, confronted Elvis with allegations and was like, what's up? Like, this is what they said you said. What's up? And Elvis was like, I never said that. He said, and if you ask anybody who knows me, they'll know that I've never said anything like that. And he was like, I know where I get my music from. I know where I get my style from. He said, Fats Domino. He said he knows Fat Domino can sing better than him. He would never deny it. And if anybody ever asked him, he would tell them the truth. So he was like, almost like the way it read was almost like Elvis was like, man, get out of here with that. Like, I would never say anything like that. And those who matter most to me, those who are close to me, would already know. So it's like, whatever. So it was funny. I found out because my sister's friend, who happened to be white, told me, Elvis isn't racist. I was like, you better get out of here with that. Don't come at me with that. So he was like, no, let me show you something. They sent me a video. It is a video interview with James Brown. James Brown was kind of young at the time. And James Brown was talking about how close him and Elvis Presley were. He was talking about Elvis's character, his character, and what he liked about him and how they had gotten close. And James Brown talks about the allegations, sort of. He's like, people are always pretty much talking bad about Elvis, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. And like, to see this video, and I'm watching James Brown, freaking the king, the actual king, is saying this. And I'm like, this dude is really saying this about Elvis. I was like, wow. Even Sammy Davis Jr. was quoted with talking about his relationship. Yep, he was quoted talking about his relationship with Elvis Presley.
Woo!
And I was like, this one publication, this one magazine was able to publish this one story that sparked the whole rumor, and the Black community ate it up for decades. We have been eating that lie for decades. There is no way, like, okay, I don't know if you watch epic rap battles, okay, but it's a YouTube thing. They had this epic rap battle between Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley, and it was funny. It was really good. Y'all gotta watch it. It was great. But in it, they have Elvis kind of talking about how he stole, you know, the black music. Like, you know what I mean? Like Michael Jackson saying, you stole this from us and blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't that. Like, it was funny. It was real funny. But the truth is, like, the fact that it's in something like Epic Rap Battles lets you know that not even the black community, but the white community, everybody believes that Elvis was racist. We all believe that. And it's just
so they treated Elvis
like, huh?
So they treated Elvis like he was black because they couldn't get what they want. That's definitely believable.
They blackballed him. No pun intended. They blackballed him in the black community. They did.
That's crazy.
So whenever you like we hear Elvis,
they probably knew that we were the bulk of his consumers, so they tried to hurt his pockets by doing that.
That too. You know what I mean? So it's just like we ate it up for decades. That became the story. Elvis is racist. Elvis stole our music. Like, no, he didn't steal it. He definitely took our music and he did his thing with it. But he was always giving credit to us. He wasn't like saying, this is mine. You know, there's this one picture where there was a fair in Memphis, Tennessee. And it was colors only day. So it was a day for black people to go to the fair. And Elvis went and performed at that fair, despite everybody telling him not to. They were telling him, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. He was like, I'm going. So he went and performed for the colors only fair. So y'all just look it up, research it. Like, we'll put the link in the description for the James Brown interview video. But
that's right.
Crazy.
You know what though? I'm gonna tell you something. Love me tender. Yeah. Love me true. Cause I love you. Yeah. I had a little bit of that in me. I had a little bit of that EP in me. I had a little bit of that EP in me. You ain't know about that. What you know? I just had
You are funny. That's amazing.
For real though. But like she said, you know, all these myths that we put out there, you know, they're myths because we ate them up and we didn't do our research first. You know what I mean? You know, you can get your research from Big Mama, you know what I mean? But get it from Big Mama and get it from your own train of thought, and also hit up Google. Google is your friend, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing on it. Don't just believe something that somebody told you, man. And don't just believe something because your whole family believes it. You know what I mean? You have to be an individual first. Before we can come together as a people, we have to know who we are individually before I can be your friend. I got to befriend myself. You understand? For real. You know what I mean? Portia, take us out of here, man. You know, let them know.
Thank y'all so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. We want to know how you felt about having these myths revealed. What did you know? What didn't you know? What did we get wrong? Let us know. Put it in the comments below. Thank you, guys.
Word is born from Portia, Quan John, Motivation Motives 100.